Imagine waking up to the sound of the waves and the perfect company by your side. Walking to a paradise beach, eating a delicious meal for less than $3, and living in comfort in one of the most beautiful places in Southeast Asia. Is this still possible in Da Nang? In recent years, this Vietnamese city has won over those looking for an affordable lifestyle with clean beaches, good infrastructure, and a tropical climate. But with rising prices, is Da Nang still an affordable paradise, or has it lost its charm? If you want to know if this city still offers the best value for money in the world, stay until the end, because the answer may surprise you. You know that destination that you see in photos and think, "Wow, I need to visit that place." Well, Da Nang is one of those. A coastal city located in the heart of Vietnam, between the giants Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. In addition to being on the shores of the South China Sea, the city is also very close to the legendary Hai Van Strait, one of the most iconic postcards in the region. But Da Nang is not just a minor figure on the map, it is one of the stars of Southeast Asia. Located on the country's central coast, the city impresses with its breathtaking contrasts. On one side, the blue sea, on the other, the imposing Truong Son mountain range. If you haven't yet added Da Nang to your list of places to visit, it might be time to rethink your priorities. In addition to being an incredible tourist destination, Da Nang also serves as a gateway to some of Vietnam's most fascinating attractions. Want to feel like you're back in the days of the emperors? Head to Hue. Want to explore the history of colorful lanterns? Hoi An is the place for you. And for lovers of archaeology and ancient civilizations, My Son is home to impressive ruins from the Champa civilization. And if all that sounds good, just wait until you get to the Hai Van Pass, one of the most beautiful highways on the planet. If driving there doesn't make you feel like you're in a movie, nothing will. Da Nang has miles of white sand and a sea that seems to invite you to dive in. But here's a word of warning. Don't expect all beaches to be the same. The most famous and popular beach is Mai Kay Beach. Imagine the typical postcard scene. People playing sports, swaying coconut trees, food stalls, and a vibrant energy in the air. If you like lively places, this is where you'll want to lay out your beach towel. But if you're looking to escape the hustle and bustle, just walk a few minutes and you'll find quieter beaches, surrounded by palm trees and with a much more peaceful atmosphere. If you want an almost secret hideaway, there is a more secluded beach where all you can hear is the sound of the waves and the wind. The downside? The maintenance there is not the best, so be prepared for a more rustic experience. Oh, and an important detail for first-timers. Depending on the time of year, the water can be freezing. At the beginning of the year, for example, that refreshing dip can turn into a test of resistance to the cold. For some, it is a revitalizing experience. For others, a blow from nature against any expectation of relaxation. If there's one thing that can transform your experience in Da Nang from regular tourist to hardcore explorer, it's the way you get around. The city isn't a chaotic maze, but if you want to enjoy everything without relying on public transport or the goodwill of taxis, a scooter is practically your ticket to adventure mode. And look, now we have something new that makes all the difference. PCX scooters are available for rent. Yes, my friends, no more balancing on tiny scooters that look like they were made for 12-year-olds. Now you can ride around Da Nang with a little more comfort, stability, and without feeling like any gust of wind could throw you onto the sidewalk. But wait, before you go out there thinking you're in Fast and Furious, Vietnam version, there's one important detail. Now, to rent any motorcycle with an engine larger than 50 cc, you need a valid driver's license. If you don't have an international license, don't panic. You can still rent a small electric motorcycle with 50 cc, which doesn't require any special documentation. The good side? You avoid bureaucracy. The bad side? Well, be prepared to see even a gentleman on a bicycle leaving you behind. But is a scooter really necessary? It depends. If you're just planning on staying in Muan Beach, where there are restaurants everywhere, charming cafes, and a very relaxed vibe, you can get around just fine on foot. However, if you want to explore more hidden beaches, venture along scenic roads, or even pop into neighboring cities, having a scooter is the real game changer between a basic itinerary and an epic experience. And for those arriving at the airport, the logistics are easy and hassle-free. Grab, which is like the Uber of Southeast Asia, works perfectly and will take you from the airport to the city center for about $3. Yes, $3. In other words, you can spend more on a fancy cafe than on transportation to the city. And this is just one more reason why Da Nang has become one of the favorite destinations for those who want to live well, spend little, and still feel that tropical breeze on their face. If there's one thing that's still surprisingly cheap in Da Nang, even with the high rents, it's the food. And let's face it, when it comes to good, cheap food, Vietnam is on a whole other level. Want proof? One of the most beloved restaurants among foreigners, Chickpea Eatery, has just opened a new location, now in a great location in the Muan Beach area. In other words, it's now even easier to sneak out for a delicious lunch without having to cross the city. But let's be honest, as successful as Chickpea is, what really shines in Vietnamese cuisine are the fresh noodles, the classic spring rolls, and, of course, the seafood. Everything is super fresh, well prepared, and, on top of that, healthy, which, let's face it, is a bonus when compared to other budget options around the world. And if you feel too lazy to leave the house, no problem. GrabFood can do it in just a few minutes. The delivery service here works like a dream. Fast, efficient, and, most importantly, it's super cheap. How much does it cost to eat in Da Nang? If you think that a tourist destination like this has expensive food, you can breathe a sigh of relief. You can still have a full meal for less than $3. Yes, $3. This includes incredible dishes, generous portions, and, depending on the restaurant, even a complimentary iced tea. Compared to other cities in Southeast Asia, Da Nang remains one of the best places to live well without having to sell a kidney. Now, about the rental prices. Prepare yourself for a little shock. If there's one topic that generates controversy among expats living here, it's the increase in the cost of accommodation. Until recently, it was easy to find an incredible apartment for less than $500 a month, but is that still the case? Well, not exactly. Prices have gone up a lot. The same apartment that used to cost $485 now costs between $700 and $800 a month. Yes, the increase has been steep, but when you put it into perspective, Da Nang is still much more affordable than any city in Europe or the US. But don't worry, you can still find good deals. If you're good at prospecting and have the patience to negotiate, there are still interesting opportunities. On Airbnb, for example, you can find apartments for $344 a month, which is still a great value for money. But for longer stays, the best option is to look directly at local owners or expat groups where the real bargains can be found. And what do you get for that price? Most of the time, an apartment with modern infrastructure, a rooftop with a sea view and a swimming pool. The only detail that may surprise some people is the quality of the Wi-Fi, which varies greatly depending on the location. If you work remotely and need fast internet, it might be a good idea to invest in a reliable data chip or spend more time in the many cafes and co-working spaces with high-speed internet scattered around the city. But is Da Nang still worth it? Definitely. Are prices rising? Yes. But the cost of living is still ridiculously affordable compared to other international destinations. You can live well, eat fresh, delicious food every day, live in an apartment with a sea view, and still spend much less than you would in any Western city. The only downside is that, as the city becomes more popular with digital nomads and expats, prices are only set to continue to rise. So, if you're thinking about moving to Da Nang, you might want to hurry before this well-kept secret gets discovered. Da Nang is the kind of place you think you've seen before. A city by the sea, ancient temples, beautiful scenery, but before you know it, you're standing in the middle of a fire-breathing bridge, climbing mountains with mystical caves, and wondering how a simple sandwich can taste so good. Get ready, because the sights here are simply breathtaking. Dragon Bridge. In any other city, bridges just connect one side to the other. In Da Nang, they're shaped like dragons and they breathe fire. Every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 9 p.m., the Dragon Bridge closes for a show where the golden structure literally breathes flames and jets of water. It's free and draws a crowd. On other days, it's still a functional bridge, but without the show. Temple of Lady Buddha. The Temple of Lady Buddha is home to the largest female Buddha statue in Vietnam. The image, located at the top of the Linh Ung Pagoda, can be seen from various points in the city, and depending on where you stand, it gives the impression that it is always watching you. In addition to its religious symbolism, the place offers an impressive panoramic view. But one important detail: there are many monkeys around, and they don't hesitate to steal food or anything that looks interesting. Japanese onsen. In Da Nang, even taking a bath becomes a tourist attraction. The city has several spas that offer the Japanese onsen experience, which combines a therapeutic herbal bath with a sauna and massage. First, you step into a wooden tub filled with hot water and aromatic herbs. Then, you go through a sauna that dissolves any trace of stress. At the end, a massage relieves any muscle tension. Marble Mountains. 5 mountains formed of limestone and marble are home to temples, caves, and tunnels carved over the centuries. Some caves look like they're straight out of a movie, with Buddhist statues and altars scattered among the rock formations. The climb to the top is rewarded with one of the most impressive views of the city. It's best to visit early in the morning or late in the afternoon to avoid crowds and the intense heat. Hoi, an ancient village. Hoi An, just 30 minutes from Da Nang, is one of the most charming places in Vietnam. Its streets preserve historical architecture influenced by Japanese, Chinese, and French. The Japanese covered bridge, built in the 16th century, is one of the main tourist attractions, along with traditional wooden houses and ancient temples. But the real spectacle happens at night, when hundreds of lanterns light up the streets and create a unique atmosphere. The Hoi and Night Market completes the experience, with stalls selling handicrafts, clothing, and typical dishes. Gastronomy. The food in Da Nang and Hoi An is a chapter in itself. One of the most traditional dishes is cao lao, a thick noodle dish served with pork, bean sprouts, and fresh herbs, supposedly prepared only with water from a secret well in the city. Another famous option is banh mi, a baguette sandwich stuffed with meat, pâtés, and fresh vegetables. The crispy shrimp with salted egg noodles and the pork skewers with rice paper are also unmissable. Ba Na Hills and the Golden Bridge. The cable car to Ba Na Hills is not just a means of transport, but an attraction in itself. For 45 minutes, it crosses mountains and forests until it reaches the top, where the Sun, World Theme Park, and the famous Golden Bridge are located. The structure, supported by 2 giant stone hands, looks like it came straight out of a fantasy universe. On clear days, the view is incredible. If it's foggy, the scenery becomes even more surreal. As the journey there can take up to 2 hours, it is recommended to reserve a whole day for this experience. Beaches. Da Nang's beaches have white sand, blue sea, and are a great place to relax. Mai Khe Beach and Non Nuoc Beach are the best known and offer complete facilities for tourists. For those looking for something more exclusive, the Cham Islands are a must-see destination. The archipelago has crystal-clear waters and excellent diving spots. Ka Chep Oa Rong Fountain. On the banks of the Han River, a sculpture draws attention. The Ka Chep Hoa Rong Fountain represents a carp transforming into a dragon, a symbol of perseverance in Vietnamese culture. During sunset, the area becomes one of the best spots for walking and taking photos. Nearby, there are restaurants and Cho Dem Sun, a street full of street food stalls. Boat trip on the Han River. A night cruise on the Han River is one of the best ways to see Da Nang lit up. Along the way, you can pass under the city's iconic bridges, including the Dragon Bridge. The reflection of the lights on the water creates a stunning backdrop. City museums. The Cham Sculpture Museum houses over 2,000 artifacts from the Champa civilization, which inhabited central Vietnam. For history buffs, the collection is fascinating. The 3D Art Museum offers a more interactive experience with installations and paintings that create optical illusions that are perfect for creative photos. If there's one thing that French colonization left in Vietnam, besides history and politics, it was a striking mark on architecture and cuisine, and Da Nang was no exception. Walking around the city, you can come across colonial buildings that look like they came from another era. And, of course, we can't talk about French influence without mentioning banh mi, the Vietnamese sandwich made with baguette. Yes, it comes straight from the days of French Indochina. But the highlight of this cultural mix? Ba Na Hills. If you've ever seen photos of a village that looks like it was teleported from France to Vietnam, this is it. Architecture inspired by the 19th century, that European atmosphere in the middle of the mountains, and an incredible view. A true piece of France, but in Southeast Asia. Before the Vietnamese took over this region, the Cham people ruled here. They came from the ancient kingdom of Champa, which existed between the 2nd and 15th centuries. But what does this have to do with Da Nang? Well, a lot. The Cham were largely Hindu, and their legacy is still everywhere. Want proof? Visit the Marble Mountains, a place that combines spirituality and nature in a surreal way. A cave-turned Buddhist temple, pagodas in the middle of the mountain, and a mystical atmosphere that makes you feel like you're in another world. And yes, monks and practitioners of the faith still frequent these places, keeping alive a centuries-old tradition. So, would you dare spend some time in Da Nang? Tell me. Oh, and if you've made it this far, comment Da Nang, so I know you're part of the team that doesn't miss out on a trip like this. But will Da Nang remain cheap for much longer? Or will this paradise soon be discovered by everyone? Better hurry before it's too late. And if you think Da Nang is amazing, wait until you see this other amazing destination. Click here and find out now.